right, welcome everyone. Hello and welcome to Adobe InDesign Live. How's everyone doing today? Good. Great to see people all the way from Egypt and Finland watching today. Welcome everyone. Welcome to InDesign Live on Tuesday. So, my name is Terry White. It'll be my pleasure to walk you through this relatively short topic. It shouldn't take too long to cover this. It's a really simple thing to do. But I noticed that the InDesign team posted this as a tip on the Facebook page and on Twitter, and people really liked it, and they asked me to, hey, could you stream about it too? And I said, sure, why not? So we're going to stream about a feature in InDesign that's been there for as long as I can remember. It's been there for several years, but it's kind of, again, one of those hidden gems, one of those things that it would never jump out at you that you could do this. So I'm going to show you how the feature works currently. Then I'm going to show you how you can customize it. That's the hidden part. All right, so with everyone in the room, hello Renee, hello Chris, hello Nazar, Victoria, Amico, George, and if I pronounced your name incorrectly, I apologize, but welcome everyone. Let's go ahead and dive in and get started. I'm going to switch over to my computer. And of course, I've got InDesign CC running. This is one of those tips that will work back as far as InDesign, I don't know, maybe even 1.0, but certainly a long time ago. So this is one that you don't necessarily have to be on the latest and greatest version to use, but you should always be on the latest and greatest version. All right, let's go ahead and create a new document. And again, I'm just creating this just a simple basic document so you guys can see what so I can have something to place text on. So let's go ahead and do that. I've got a one-page letter size document ready to go here, and what I'm going to do now is just simply grab my type tool, and with the type tool I'm just going to go ahead and drag out a frame. All right, and here I'll actually make one this size, and I'll also make one that's a little bit bigger because we'll do a couple of tips today. Actually, you know what? For this one, let's go ahead and make it bigger. All right, let's do that. Okay, so the tip in general is that, and this, again, this is a feature you probably have seen. This is one that's been around for as long as I can remember in InDesign. It's basically if you go up to your type menu, or if you do a right click, you can come all the way down to fill with placeholder text. That's not new. That's been there for a long time. We use it all the time, and what that basically will do is whatever your default font is, which in my case, this document opened with a default of Minion Pro 12 point, and that's what it gave me, was sample or placeholder text at 12 point Minion Pro. And what that means is that if I do the fill with placeholder text, it will fill whatever my frame is from top to bottom with this sample lorem ipsum text. And the idea for this feature, for those of you who have never used it, or why would this be here, is this is for people that are doing the design of the layout. They want to go ahead and get some text on the page where text is going to go, style it, get it looking the way they want it to look, and then when the real copy comes in, they replace this text with the real copy. And the reason that it uses this lorem ipsum kind of just text that isn't in plain English is because that way you hopefully won't accidentally leave it in. Because you know, if your proofreaders or whoever's proofing your document sees that, they know that's not the story that's supposed to be there. They know that's not the text that belongs. So that's why that text is what it is. The tip that we'll see in a few moments is that you can change it. You can actually make that text be something else. You can actually alter the program to be whatever you want it to be. Now, I will caution you on that. While I'm going to show you the ability to change this to whatever you want it to be, and it will stay that way, and you can use it over and over again for every document you use from now on, keep in mind that if you make it regular English or whatever your language is, then you do run the risk of forgetting to change it later. So, you know, in other words, use this with caution, because the whole idea is that that's text that once someone saw it would know that that's not the right text that goes there, and therefore would catch it. If I put in regular English or regular words, then I might not catch it because people might think that that's the actual story. So now that I got the public service announcement out of the way, the warning out of the way, let's go ahead and see how it works. Okay. And before we get to the tip on how to change it, I just want to show you a couple of basic text tips too. So let me go ahead and undo this. And let me go ahead and I'm going to change my font to Myriad. If I have Myriad on this computer. Ooh, I may not have Myriad on this computer. I keep forgetting this computer does not. Oh, wait, it may have it. Hold on. This computer is new and doesn't have all my fonts yet. Okay, it does have Myriad. Okay, so I switched that to Myriad Pro, and let's say that I also want to make it bigger for whatever reason. I want to make it 14 point. Now when I do the type fill with placeholder text, it should come in, and it did, as now the sans serif Myriad Pro 14 point. But you'll notice what it did, even though the text is bigger, and even though it's a different font, it did not cause an overset situation. In other words, it said, okay, your frame's this big to this big, this wide, I'm gonna fill it and stop at the end. I'm not gonna make more text than the frame can hold. However, if you were to make more text than the frame can hold, then of course that would put you in an overset situation where you get the red plus sign, which by the way is always visible to let you know that you have an overset situation. So even if you click off of it, the red plus sign is there to remind you that you're not looking at all of the text. Now, a couple of quick things for people that are just working with text frames in general, and then we'll get to the main tip, which is how to change that placeholder text. First of all, let me go in here and let me just put in what I would want to be maybe my heading. And I'm going to just simply say that my heading is in the beginning. All right, we'll make that our heading. All right, so now I'll put some real text in there and still have the placeholder text, and I'm still in an overset situation. So a couple tips on just threading frames in general. Number one, we pretty much know that if I click the plus sign, I can either create a new frame or I can click into an existing frame and it will continue the text. That's not new. That's been there for a while too. And now if I make this frame smaller, it'll just push more of that text into the other frame. Again, not new. Here's a couple of quick tips that you may not have known if you're new to InDesign. Number one is that if you want to see where your text threading is, you can go up to your View menu, you can come down to Extras, and you can say Show Text Threads or use the keyboard shortcut. That will always show you the connection between all your frames, provided that you have a frame selected. So if I don't have anything selected, I won't see it. If I click on either one of those frames, I'll see that connection. And Dave Clayton's in the house. What's up, Dave? The next thing I can do, and this is kind of one of those people don't really understand or know that you can do this right off the bat, is that what if you decided you wanted a third frame, but you wanted it in the middle? In other words, let's call this frame number one, let's call this frame number two for now, but let's say we want this to be frame number one, we want a frame number two, and this will be frame number three. Well, you can actually reconnect, even if you don't have that frame yet. You can actually click where the frames are connecting, and you can say, you know what, I want to add that third frame right here, and now you will have frame number two that you just created on the fly. So all I did was click the import of the second frame, created a new second frame, and it automatically reconnected everything for me. The same thing, if I select this frame and decide I don't want a frame two, and I delete it, it will reconnect frames one and now two over again. All right, most of you probably know those things. Here's the one that I still find most people don't know, and that is frames can be created and connected in reverse order, meaning that I typed that in the beginning for a reason. I want that to be my new headline, but I want my headline to maybe go all the way across the page. Well, the import, which is not connected to anything right now on that frame, that can actually be used to link backwards. That's one of my old-time InDesign tips that I used to show people that, oh my God, I didn't know you could do that. All right, so let's go ahead and just simply click on it, go up to the top here, and I'll just drag that across. Now, if I make it too long, it's going to start to pull in some of that extra text. But number one, I was able to click on it and link backwards. Number two, I can create the new frame on the fly even if the frame didn't exist. And of course, I can still move these around. And let's go ahead and line those up. Great. And number 3, if I do have a situation like this, I don't necessarily have to make this frame smaller so that it pushes this text down. What I can do is create what's called a break. So I can say, you know what, after this paragraph, or at the beginning of this paragraph, after in the beginning, in other words, I want to go up to my, I always forget where these are, insert break character under the type menu. I want to insert a frame break. What that's telling it to do is put a special character in front of this that pushes whatever's after this into the next frame. So that way, it doesn't matter how big I make this frame now, it will not pull in any more of that text because of the frame break. All right, so let's go ahead and now I can go ahead and make that bigger using my Command Shift greater than trick. That's PC Control Shift greater than on the keyboard. And now I've got my text. I've got everything the way I want it. Works great. Okay, and of course I could also continue to make this frame smaller, push that out, and then create a new frame down here for the remaining text. So your linking all works the way it always did, and of course you can go in and continue to adjust because once you do have placeholder text, the text acts like text. But when you put it in initially, it will not make it any bigger or longer than the rest of the frame itself. Okay, now on to the main event. How can I change this text to be something else? And what could that something else be? All right, there's a cool website called Meet the Ipsums. Let me go ahead and launch it here. Let me bring it over so you can see it. It's at meettheipsums.com. That's where you'll find it. Meet the Ipsums, I-P-S-U-M-S, meettheipsums.com. And what you will find is just some sample, some other than Lorem Ipsum text. And I'm a fan of The Walking Dead, so I was kind of surprised when I scrolled down here and I saw Zombie Ipsum. Awesome. That's what I'd want. So I can, and it just basically has words about, you know, the apocalypse and zombies. But you can keep going, find whatever you like. You like cheese Ipsum, you'll find things about cheese, so forth and so on. Gangster Ipsum, you'll find things about gangsters. Bacon, whatever you like. All right, so let's go back up to the zombie one, since that's one of my favorites. I can click on it to get to that site, to get to the text. In this particular site, it shows me that I can use, I can show 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 paragraphs. Let's do 3 paragraphs to be on the safe side. And then what I want to do is I want to copy that text. Now, there's nothing stopping you from writing your own. So if you want to write your own text, you don't have to go to a website to do this. You can just write your own. But I'm going to go ahead and copy this out. Now, where am I going to paste it? I'm going to paste this in a, hey, Lauren's in the house too. I'm going to paste this in a text document. So let's go ahead and create one, file new. And I'm just using text edit on my Mac. You could use Notepad on a PC, whatever text editor you want. Now, when I paste this in, unfortunately, it's going to paste it in with all the styling. I don't really want that. I don't really care about the red text and the font that it's in, so forth and so on. What I'm going to do, and this is a text edit feature, I'm just going to go in and change this format to make plain text, Shift Command T. When I make that plain text, it's warning me, hey, are you sure you want to get rid of all your formatting? Yes, I do. Then it just gives me the sample, straight, generic text, and that's all I really care about. Now that this has been converted to just text with no formatting, the next thing I want to do is save it. And this is the important part, the name you give it and where you put it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a save. It's going to ask me what do I want to call it. I'm going to call it placeholder.txt. And I'm going to turn off, oh, okay, good, hide the extension turned off. This is what it has to be called. It cannot be called anything else, or if you call it something else, it just won't work. Placeholder.txt. If you create a document called placeholder.txt and you save it to your Adobe InDesign application folder, in other words, where InDesign lives. So if I wanted to show that, I would just simply go to my doc here, which you can't see all of it. And I would simply say show in Finder. That will show me the InDesign application and the plugins and all the other stuff that's in there. But once I save this document there, or put it there if I don't save it directly there, now it's there. It's placeholder. It's got the TXT on the end of it. Don't worry about that. But that's where it needs to go. Save it to where the actual application is. Call it placeholder.txt and you'll be fine. Now, how does it work? Let's get the browser out of the way. Let's quit InDesign because it won't work until you relaunch InDesign. So let's go ahead and quit InDesign. Now that I've quit InDesign, I can go ahead and relaunch it. And now that I've relaunched it, we'll give it a second to come back up. And then we will go ahead and create a new document. All right, let's go ahead and create a new document now. Again, we'll just use the generic 8.5 by 11 page. And here's my new document. And now I'm just going to go ahead and create another text frame just like I did before. You can open an existing document too. It doesn't have to be a new one. And if everything goes well, when I go type, fill with placeholder text, I should have zombie text. And I do. Brain, odors, color, all kinds of zombie text. The actual word zombie is there. So I've got my new zombie placeholder text that works just like the lorem ipsum. Now, how can I get back to lorem ipsum, or how can I get rid of this text? One of two ways. Either quit InDesign and take that document out of the folder, the placeholder.txt, out of the application folder, or open up that text and change it to something else. And the next time you launch InDesign, it'll use the new text. So Dave's asking, does that trick work in Illustrator or Photoshop? It is an InDesign exclusive as far as I know, Dave. I've not seen it work in any other application. All right. I don't see any other questions, but basically that's how it works. So everything else we tried would be the same. So if I reshape this frame, the text will flow accordingly. And if you remember, I only copied 3 paragraphs. If I had a frame that was bigger than those 3 paragraphs, it just repeats it over and over and over again. And so again, if I were to go in now, let's go ahead and change this back to myriad, which is what I prefer. Myriad, and let's go ahead and make it nice and big so you guys can see it better. There we go. So now it's zombie ipsum. And I've got a situation where I've got an overset. Let's go ahead and continue this text down here. And while we're at it, let's go into our text frame options. And I could have done it from the control panel as well. So let's go ahead and make it 3 frames. Or I'm sorry, 3 columns. And then I can continue that text elsewhere. But you get the idea. This is it. Zombie ipsum, or cat ipsum, or cheese ipsum, or whatever ipsum you want, or whatever text you want to use. Now, I'd be pretty safe that this would not get mistaken for actual story text. So that's the main thing, is that if you're going to use something, you can change it to whatever you want, but the idea is that you don't change it to something that's so common that people proofreading the document wouldn't know that that's sample text. They would think it's part of the story. All right, that's it. That's your tip. The big secret in InDesign, yes. What about non-Latin scripts? I don't know. I've never tried it. I don't see why it wouldn't work, especially in multi-language versions of InDesign. Cool beans. Thanks for adding. Oh, you added Dave on Instagram. What about me? Working with reporter, the best thing, placeholder text. Okay, cool. Oh, and speaking of one more, just kind of a generic, doesn't have to do with placeholder text, but just text tip in general. Because you reminded me when you said knowing how much text there is. Like, for example, I see the plus signs there, and I know that means there's more text, but how much more? Is it just a word? Is it a paragraph? Is it 5 pages of more text? Because maybe I could try and fit it on this page if it's not that much more. Or I might need to put it on another page, or I might need to make the text much smaller, so forth and so on. So the age-old question of when I see that plus sign, if I didn't write this story, I don't know how much text there is left. Here's the way to find it. Put your cursor anywhere in that story. Go up to your type menu and come down to not your story panel. I want to go to the, oh my God, it's been so long since I've done this, the story editor. Oh, it was under type, it is not it. I know the keyboard shortcut to it, but I was trying to find the menu for it. Edit and story editor, there it is, Command Y. All right, so if we do edit and story editor, that will show you this like miniature word processor that's always been built into InDesign. I always do Command Y, that's why I never think where it is under the menu. But anyway, what this will do is show you how much text you have overset. So right there, it's letting me know that AMBU is the last thing we could see. If I were to scroll down, you could see that. And everything past this with the red is overset. That means that that's the text that's not showing. So could you edit here? Absolutely. If you said, hey, I don't need, you'd have to be, of course, the author of the text, but you could say, hey, I don't need this paragraph. Let's go ahead and delete that out. Then more of the text will come up and show. Now, of course, we haven't gotten rid of everything in the red, so therefore we would have to work a lot harder. Maybe I would go in and just make the text, oops, let's go back to the story editor. Maybe I would go in and make the text smaller to bring it up. But whatever it would take, you could actually use the story editor to actually edit your text. Even if it's on multiple pages, this will show it as one long continuous column of text. And of course, you can make this column bigger or wider or whatever it takes for you to work. And I can see there's a lot of text left over, so it would take a lot of work. Probably just go ahead and make the font smaller and we'd be good to go. So I could try that as well. And voila, it fits. And I probably want to get it down to about there and pull it up maybe one or two more lines. Getting there, getting there. And again, this begs the question, how much more is left? Oh, 2 lines left. Let's bring it up 2 more lines. There we go. Trying to make it fit better, but we get the idea. All right, so there it is. That's going to be too much. Placeholder text, customize it, make it yours, make it say whatever you want it to say, and you basically have now altered the program. You have basically put in a text file that it will read until you take it out. All right, cheers everybody. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you on the next one. I believe tomorrow is Wednesday, and therefore I'll probably be on the Creative Cloud Facebook page. Same time, different channel, 1 p.m. Pacific at facebook.com/Adobe Creative Cloud. Also, if you are not done learning, meaning you want to learn more stuff today, you can actually head over to behance.net/live. There's live illustration going on in the San Francisco Adobe offices for the next 3 days. So starting today at this morning, 9 a.m., and it will go till 5 p.m. Pacific time. So you probably got about another, I don't know, it's 4 my time now, which means it's 1 their time now. You got about another 4 hours of time of stream there. So behance.net/live. You can head over there and see people working on illustrations in Illustrator and doing all kinds of illustration work. Cheers, everybody. Take care. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.